A very warm welcome to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam discussion, streaming from Hyderabad in India for Dublin Krishna Temple. Today, we are going to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 1, The First Step in Self-Realization, Text 24. Before we discuss on this verse, let's sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe, Jai Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe, Jai Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस सुपरव्रजाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्री ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। Samved Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु कृष्णे मतिरस्तु हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते Vasudevaya. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 1, entitled The Basics of Self-Realization, Text 24. Viśeṣatasya dehoyam sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ bhūtaṁ bhavyam bhavac viśeṣas tasya dehoyam sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ bhūtaṁ bhavyam bhavac viśeṣas tasya dehoyam sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ bhūtaṁ bhavyam bhavac. Word by word, viśeṣah, personal, tasya, his, deha, body, I am this, sthaviṣṭhaś, grossly material, cha, and sthavīyasām, of all matter, yatra, wherein, idam, all this phenomena, vyajyate, is experienced, viśvaṁ, universe, bhūtaṁ, past, bhavyam, future, bhavat, present, cha, and sat, resultant. Translation: this gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the absolute truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Anything, either material or spiritual, is but an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 13:13. The omnipotent Lord has his transcendental eyes, heads, and other bodily parts distributed everywhere. He can see, hear, touch, or manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, for he is present everywhere as the super soul of all infinitesimal souls, although he has his particular abode in the absolute world. The relative world is also his phenomenal representation because it is nothing but an expansion of his transcendental energy. Although he is in his abode, his energy is distributed everywhere, just as the sun is localized as well as expanded everywhere, since the rays of the sun, being non-different from the sun, are accepted as expansions of the sun disk. In the Vishnu Purana 1.22.52, it is said that as fire expands its rays and heat from one place, similarly the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead, expands himself by his manifold energy everywhere and anywhere. The phenomenal manifestation of the gigantic universe is only a part of his Virat body. Less intelligent men cannot conceive of the transcendental, all spiritual form of the Lord, but they are astounded by his energies, just as the aborigines are struck with wonder by the manifestation of the lightning, a gigantic mountain, or a hugely expanded banyan tree. The aborigines praise the strength of the tiger and elephant because of their superior energy and strength. The asuras cannot recognize the existence of the Lord, although there are vivid descriptions of the Lord in the revealed scriptures. Although the Lord incarnates and exhibits his uncommon strength and energy, and although he is accepted as a supreme personality of Godhead by learned scholars and saints like Vyasadeva, Narada, Asita, and Devala in the past, and by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, as also by the acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, and Lord Sri Chaitanya in the modern age. The asuras do not accept any evidential proof from the revealed scriptures, nor do they recognize the authority of the great acharyas. They want to see with their own eyes at once. Therefore, they can see the gigantic body of the Lord as Virat, which will answer their challenge. And since they are accustomed to paying homage to superior material strength, like that of the tiger, elephant, and lightning, they can offer respect to the Virata Rupa. Lord Krishna, by the request of Arjuna, exhibited his Virata Rupa for the Asuras. A pure devotee of the Lord, being unaccustomed to looking into such a mundane, gigantic form of the Lord, requires special vision for the purpose. The Lord therefore favored Arjuna with special vision for looking into his Virata Rupa, which is described in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This Virata Rupa of the Lord was especially manifested not for the benefit of Arjuna, but for that unintelligent class of men who accept anyone and everyone as an incarnation of the Lord, and so misled the general mass of people. For them, the indication is that one should ask the chief incarnation to exhibit his Virata Rupa, and thus be established as an incarnation. The Virata Rupa manifestation of the Lord is simultaneously a challenge to the atheist and a favor for the asuras, who can think of the Lord as Virata and thus gradually cleanse the dirty things from their hearts in order to become qualified to actually see the transcendental form of the Lord in the near future. This is a favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheists and the gross materialists. Before we discuss on this verse, let us offer some prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhūtale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namashreshtham Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Mathurim Goshthavati Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Adadandastranam Dante Idam Yachah Punah Punah Shriman Rupa Padambhojam Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 24. viśeṣas tasya dehoyam sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ bhūtaṁ bhavyaṁ bhavac. Translation: this gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the present body of the Absolute Truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. So this is the verse spoken by Srila Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And in this particular verse, Srila Shukadeva Goswami is mentioning about the Virata Rupa, or the gigantic manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is this Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which is the 4 seed verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which Krishna talks to Brahmaji. And the first verse in that is Aham eva sameva gre nanyadyat sadasat param paschad aham yadetacha yo avishishyate sosmi aham. So in this particular verse, Krishna is saying to Brahma that I was one who was existing before everything else existed. Aham evasam. Before anything else existed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead existed. Aham evasam eva agre, the first. Aham evasam eva agre nanyadyat sadasat param. So, whatever is sat and asat, the root of all the existence is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Sarva karana karanam. Ishvaraha paramaha Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Krishna is the cause of all causes. So whatever causes we see in this whole universe, the cause of all those causes is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So he was the one, Aham evasam eva agre nanyadyat sadasat param paschad aham yadetacha yo avashishyate sosmi aham. Aham adishcha madhyam cha bhūtānaṁ antameva cha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that I am the beginning, I am the middle, and I am the end. Aham adishya madhyam cha bhūtānaṁ antameva cha. Tapamyaham aham varsham nigranami utsarami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasat chaham Arjuna. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that tapamyaham aham varsham. I am the heat that happens in the summer seasons in the tropical countries. Unbearable heat. That is Krishna. Tapamyaham aham varsham. There is a place where there is a lot of rain. The rain is Krishna. Nigrinami utsrajami cha. So anything that is taken away, that is because of Krishna. And anything that comes into existence, that is because of Krishna. Amritam chaiva mrityum cha. We are immortal. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va nabhuya. Ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamani shariri. Nainam chindanti shastrani nainam dahati pavaka na chainam kledyan tapo na shoshyati maruta. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita our original nature, which is eternal. That is Amritam. Amritam is the nectar. And we are that nectar. Our original constitutional position is nectarian. Why? Because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are immortal. We are aja. We do not have, the body takes birth, but our nectarian self does not take birth. So Krishna says that Amritam chaiva mrityuscha. So Krishna says that I am Amritam. What is Amritam? Our eternal existence, which is not based on this body, which takes birth and goes through all this shadavikar, the 6 kinds of changes. It takes birth, it grows, it stays for some time, it produces byproducts, it dwindles, and then it vanishes. So from the point of actually coming into physical realm as a physical body with a material body, till the time when the person's body disappears and all the ingredients of the body gets mixed with those ingredients. The earth part of the body gets mixed with earth, the water part becomes water, the air part becomes air, the fire part becomes fire, and the ether part becomes ether. So the body gets disintegrated once the dehinosmin yatha dehe. Once the proprietor of the body within the body goes out of the body gets disintegrated and the body vanishes. So this is asat. So Krishna says this is mrityu as well. Mrityu sarva haraschaham udbhavascha bhavisyatam kirtir vak shri cha narinam smritir medha dhritir kshama. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that as the death, he is coming as the death as well. So for someone who does not believe in the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at the time of death, when death comes, that is also Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even if one believes the Lord or does not believe the Lord, the existence of the Lord can never be denied. For example, the sun, the existence of the sun, whether one believes that the sun will rise or not, it doesn't matter, because the sun will always rise and the sun will always set. It does not matter whether one believes it or not. It is a truth. It is an axiom. And in this verse, Srila Prabhupada actually quotes from Vishnu Purana about Vishnu Purana 1.22.52. The verse, Ekadeshasthisas Agnir Jyotsna Vistarini Yatha Parasya Brahmana Shaktir Tathedam Akhilam Jagat. So that particular verse of Vishnu Purana mentions that just as the fire is situated at one place, if we look at sun is a huge ball of fire. So it is situated at one place, but Jyotsna Vistarini Yatha, it is spreading its light and heat and radiance everywhere. Parasya Brahmana Shaktir Tathedam Akhilam Jagat. So the Vishnu Purana mentions that Parasya Brahmana Shaktir. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead's energy is distributed everywhere in the form of his energy. So Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshu avasthitam. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita how he is pervaded everywhere in the form of his energy. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshu avasthitam. So the whole universe is based on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he's not personally, he's saying that his personal presence is separate from his presence as Brahman and Paramatma. So vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwaniti shabdyate. This is mentioned in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where it is said that the absolute truth is realized in 3 different phases. So one is Brahman, Brahmeti. And what is Brahman? The understanding of Brahman is this impersonal understanding. And whenever someone is in that impersonal understanding state, one mode of worship is the Virata Rupa that is being mentioned here in this verse. So in this verse, it is said that gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is a person body of the absolute truth. So for someone who is interested in impersonalism, klesho adhikaras tesham avyakt asakta chetasam avyakto hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhir avapyate. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that if someone is following the impersonal meditation, it is klesha. It is very difficult. Klesha adhikaras, extremely difficult. Tesham. Who avyakta sakta chetasa. One who is attached to the impersonal realization. Their path is actually klesho adhikaras, extremely difficult. Avyakto hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhir avapyate. Why? Because in the physical world, our manifestation is based on personal relationships. It's not based on impersonal relationships. The physical, whenever one is taking birth in the material world, one is establishing relationships with whoever is coming in contact. For example, when one is taking birth, there is a relationship between the child and the parent. There is a natural attraction, and that is personal. It's not based on impersonal. So what does this mean? So there is this urdhva moolam adha shaka ashwatham prahura vyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavit. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that there is a place where the moolam, the root, is urdhva, on the top, and the shakha, the branches, are at the bottom. Adha shakha. Urdhva moolam adha shakha. Ashwatham prahur avyayam. So it is like a ashwatha. Ashwath. So that is like huge, gigantic banyan tree, for example. The banyan trees are huge. They just expand lots and lots, and their roots start coming down. But generally, this example, urdhva moolam adha shakha, is that of a reflection of a tree. If we see the reflection of a tree on a pond or a lake or a river, what we see is the roots are at the top and the branches are at the bottom. So that is what does that mean? That means that the material manifestation is a reflection of the spiritual manifestation. So whatever varieties are present in the material world, in the material realm, the same varieties are present in the spiritual realm also. The difference is, in the spiritual realm, there is no janma mrityu jara vyadhi. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankaram evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. These are the qualities of someone who is going in the spiritual direction. What are the qualities? They have an attitude of renouncement towards the sense objects, because the sense vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasa varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So the senses are naturally attracted to the sense objects, and because of that, the conditioned living entity is taking birth after birth since time immemorial. When this realization happens that this type of happiness is temporary, mamupetya punarjanmam dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanas samsiddhim paramam gata. When one comes to that realization that this material world is an abode of misery, dukkhalayam, and ashashvatam, and it is temporary. So this is the wonderful state of this material world, that even though, and someone might say that your attitude towards life is pessimistic if you're saying that this world is an abode of misery, but then immediately the next word is ashashvatam. It is not permanent as well. So if there is misery, the misery is not permanent. And similarly, the so-called happiness is also not permanent. It is matra sparsha sukhanteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apaino anityas tam sthaviṣṭhaś bharata. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that all this interaction of the senses with the sense objects, it is agama apaino anityas. It comes, it goes, and it is temporary. And therefore, Krishna says, tam sthaviṣṭhaś bharata. Bear it. So if there is happiness, so sukha dukkhe same kritva. labha labho, jaya jayo. So if the senses being engaged in the sense objects is getting some kind of happiness, okay, that's fine. That is happiness. Just recognize it and let it go away. And then sometimes the senses are interacting with the sense objects, and then there is some kind of suffering coming out of it. Okay, recognize it, and that will also go away. So nothing is going to stay permanently. And this is and in the material world, but in the spiritual world, everything is permanent. The relationship with the Lord is permanent. The experience of bliss is permanent and endless. There is no beginning and there is no end. Ramante yogina anante satyanande chidatmani iti rama padenasau param brahma abhidiyate. So this is when the yogis, they are dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yogina. So when they are meditating upon the divine features of the Lord, they are getting unlimited bliss out of it. Unlimited. Anante. Ante Narayana Smriti. Ante, in the end. Ante means end. Anante means there is no end. So this is the difference between the so-called engagement of the senses with the sense objects and the real bliss, which is already present within each and every living entity. Because every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mama eva amsha. Jiva loka, jiva bhuta, Sanātana. Krishna says, eva amsha. Certainly they are my part and parcels. Krishna says, each and every living entity. Mama eva amsha, jiva loka, in all the lokas, the jiva bhuta, Sanātana. But what is happening when there is manaha shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati, when there is the identification with the mind and the five senses, then immediately there is this struggle in this material universe, in this material world. Otherwise, there is no struggle. The struggle happens when there is identification with the mind. And this understanding, which is mentioned in this verse about viśeṣas tasya deho, personal, his body, this body, his personal body, sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām. So sthaviṣṭhaḥ means grossly material, cha and sthavīyasām, of all matter. So if we look at these first two lines in this verse, viśeṣas tasya deho, sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām. So this particular verse is mentioning about the material manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aham sarvasya prabho mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that when one understands that I am the cause of everything, aham sarvasya prabho mattas sarvam pravartate, everything is coming from me. When one knows this fully, iti matva bhajante mam, one engages in loving devotional service of Krishna. How does one engage in devotional service? Who is a person who engages in such a devotional service? Buddha, one who is intelligent. And how does such a person engage in devotional service? Bhava samanvita, with full bhava. What is bhava? Is that emotional connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is bhava. And everyone has got that bhava towards Krishna. And that bhava will get, so one will realize one's bhava depending on the concentration that one has on the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One is chanting the Mahamantra with full concentration, with full focus on each and every syllable of the Mahamantra. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvat Nama Namino. As it is mentioned in the scriptures, that the name of the Lord is like a touchstone. Whatever one wants, one can get from the name of the Lord. So that's why it is very important to realize that this about the eternal nature, about our eternal nature and our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we are focused on our eternal nature and our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then our focus will direct us in the direction of uh, being being of some service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It will help us to understand that our original nature is Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnasya Tatastha Shakti Bheda Bheda Prakash. Suryamsha Yatha Agni Jwala Chaya. Krishnera Swabhavika Teen Prakar Shakti Haya. So this is mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it is said that the real constitutional position of all the living entities is that they are eternal servitors of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that Mama, this is Mad Janma Phalam Idam Madhukaita Bare Mad Kirtaniya Madartha Esha Eva Tvad Bhritya Bhritya Paricharaka Bhritya Bhritya Bhrityasya Bhritya Itimam Smara Lokanatha. So this is mentioned in the Mukunda Mala Stotra by Kulashekara Alvar. So he's saying that Tvad Bhritya Bhritya Paricharaka Bhritya Bhritya Bhrityasya Bhritya Itimam Smara Lokanatha. So he's saying, so there is Bhritya Bhritya Bhrityasya Bhritya Paricharaka Bhritya Bhritya. So he's basically going down 7 times down the lane of the servants. Servant of the 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 servant. 7 times. Kulashekar Alvar says, Bhritya Bhritya Paricharaka Bhritya Bhritya Bhrityasya Bhritya Itimam Smara Lokanatha. This is the state of spiritual world. In the spiritual world, because spiritual world is conspicuous by the absence of false ego. Whereas in the material world, false ego is the most important element. The moment there is false ego, the living entity finds itself in the material world. The moment there is the false ego is taken off, one will be in the spiritual world. It is as this is the transcendental position of the living entities. If we understand the existence of that, this Krishna mentions Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartaham iti manyate. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that actually all the activities are being carried out by the modes of material nature. So when there is mode of goodness, one is inclined to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in the transcendental discussions. And if that transcendental discussion is one gets engrossed in those transcendental discussions, and the mind becomes totally saturated with the love for the Lord, then it actually becomes Vishuddha Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva is purified goodness. It is actually, it helps one to transcend all the modes of material nature. So Vishya, so this is the transcendence is possible only in human form of life, to transcend the modes of material nature. In no other form of life one can transcend the modes of material nature. One has to in any other form of life, one will become subjugated by these modes of material nature. But in human form of life, when one is remembering the smartavya, tasmad bharata sarvatma bhagwan isharo hari shrotavyas kirtitavyascha dheya pujaschya nityada. So this is said in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that when one is Bhagwan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavyas Kirtitavyascha Dheya Pujaschya Nityada. So when one is hearing about the Lord, Shrotavya Kirtitavyasa, when it's talking about the Lord, chanting about the Lord, Dheya Pujaschya Nityada. When one is remembering the Lord and when one is rendering the loving devotional service, puja, archana, when one is rendering flowers, when one is rendering all the different offerings to the Lord. And this is the personal relationship with the Lord, which is on the other side of the discussion that this particular verse is saying. So we'll go to the next two lines. Yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ. So yatra, wherein, idam, all these phenomena, vyajyate is experienced, viśvaṁ, universe. Bhūtaṁ, bhavyam, bhavac, past, future, and present, and the resultant. So, wherein the universal resultant, past, present, and future of material time is experienced. So, the gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the absolute truth, wherein the universal resultant, past, present, and future of material time is experienced. So, this experience of Krishna actually mentions in Bhagavad Gita as well that that vedaham samatitani vartamani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam cha vedana kaschana. So Krishna mentions that he knows everything. Samatitani, everything. Krishna knows everything. Vartamani cha arjuna, of course the present. Bhavishyani cha bhutani, he knows the past, present, and future. Mam tu vedana kaschana. But no one knows Krishna fully. This is the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Name vidussuragana prabhavanna maharshaya aham madirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, even the great demigods are not able to know Krishna, nor the great rishis, prabhavanna maharshaya. Why? Because Krishna is the origin of all the demigods and everyone, the rishis inclusive. So here, in this particular verse, if we go into the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions about, he actually mentions about how he gives the example of aborigines praise the strength of the tiger and the elephant because of their superior energy and strength. The asuras cannot recognize the existence of the Lord, although there are vivid descriptions of the Lord in the revealed scriptures, although the Lord incarnates and exhibits his uncommon strength and energy, and although he is accepted as a Supreme Personality Godhead by learned scholars and saints like Vyasadeva and Narada, Asita and Devala in the past, and by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, and as also by the Acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, and Lord Sri Chaitanya in the modern age. So this is, as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that this Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavrata Mudhoyam Nabi Janati Mamibhya Paramavya. So Krishna is not revealed to everyone. Prakasha Sarvasya. Why? Because he is covered by his Yogamaya potency, his internal potency. So to know Krishna, one has to be in the state of submissive. When one is sharanam, when submissive shelter, when one is taken the submissive shelter of Krishna, then Krishna can be known. But if one thinks that as Krishna, there are so many verses, avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhūta maheshwara. So as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that when people do not know him, avajananti mam mudha. So Krishna actually uses the word. It is actually a foolish perspective, unfortunately. So they think that the Lord has incarnated in a material body, and that's why it is called Mayavada philosophy. The impersonal philosophy is sometimes called as Mayavada because the philosophy is going in the direction of saying that the Lord has, when the Lord is incarnating, he is taking a material form. But the Lord can never take a material form. Any incarnation of the Lord is purely spiritual, purely transcendental. There is no iota of material, anything material in the Lord. Because the Lord is Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. As Arjuna mentions, as Arjuna addresses to Krishna, when he sees that Virata Rupa, the universal form of Krishna, And Srila Prabhupada actually mentions in the end in this purport about that universal, that if someone is saying that they are the Lord, or they are the incarnation of the Lord, immediately they should be asked, show us your universal form, as Krishna had shown the universal form. So it is basically. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the end, in the conclusion, he mentions about that. This is the favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheists and the gross materialists. What is the favor? This Virata Rupa, this gigantic universal manifestation, which has the past, present, and future within it. That is a favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheists and the gross materialists. Why? Because, unfortunately, the atheists and the gross materialists, namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhama maya pahrata jnana asuram bhavamashrita. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that 4 kinds of people do not surrender unto me. Namam. Why? Because dushkriti. Because unfortunately they have committed sinful activities. Because of that, they are not able to surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namam dushkritino mudha. So, and because the ultimate goal of this human form of life is to surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because when one surrenders, sharanagati, so when one has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, it is the ultimate goal of the human form of life. There is no other greater goal in the human form of life other than taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. And it is possible only in human form of life. In no other form of life is it possible. So even though sometimes one has this human form of life, but one is not surrendering onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is because maya pahrita jnana. So 4 kinds. So Krishna mentions mudha prapadyante naradhama, the lowest among the mankind. Maya pahrita jnana, one whose knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, has been kidnapped, taken off by the material energy. Asuram bhavamashrita. And who is so in the asuram bhavamashrita, one is saying that this is mine, everything. I am the controller of everything. Idam maya. So whatever it is totally based on pure false ego platform. So when something is based on a purely false ego platform, ahankara platform, one actually thinks that everything belongs to that person. It's like one is considering oneself to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Krishna says, bhūtaṁ yatredaṁ sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhūtānaṁ gyatva mam shantim ruchyati. So when one understands that Krishna is actually the enjoyer, the bhūtaṁ of all the yagyas, all the sacrifices that we do and all the penances that we do, yagyatapasam, sarva loka maheshwaram, that Krishna is the actual proprietor of the whole universes, all the universes, material, spiritual. The current scientific advancement is finding that the count of the galaxies is innumerable. It cannot be counted. Like there is a Milky Way galaxy, and there are millions of planets and stars within it. And then there are so many other galaxies, and one keeps on Andromeda. One keeps on finding these galaxies. So this is all that, whatever galaxies or whatever universes, so many. Therefore, there is one word that is called Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayakam. So this is Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of these unlimited universes. So this is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. And then Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, that he is the best friend of all the living entities. When one knows these 3 things, that Krishna is the actual enjoyer of all the sacrifices and penances, that Krishna is the proprietor of all the universes, and that Krishna is the best friend of all the living entities. When one knows this, gyatva mam shanti mruchati. Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shanti ashantasya kutah sukham. So Krishna mentions that the happiness, the basis of happiness is based on peacefulness. If there is no peacefulness, there can be no happiness. And unfortunately, the contemporary society has gone in the direction of creating lots of distractions to come out of that peaceful existence. Because originally, our existence is very peaceful. Because originally, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when one fully realizes that Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, when one fully knows that Aham Brahmasmi, that I am eternally part and parcel of Krishna, I am eternal. When one knows this, then one is blissful, prasannatma. There is and there is no na shochati na kankshati. There is no hankering, there is no lamentation. Because the hankering and lamentation exists in the realm of material body, material mind, the material false ego. It exists. The whole hankering and lamentation, the whole depression, which is a huge topic in this contemporary world, is existing on the platform of matter. It is not there in the spiritual world, because spirit is eternal and it is ever blissful. It does not. It's not. It does not need anything. It does not want anything. It is totally independent. So Nama Chintamani Krishna Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvat Nama Namino. So this is the name of the Lord and the Lord Himself are inseparable. When there is name of the Lord is there. This is the transcendental potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nam Namakare Baudha, Nija Sarva Shakti Tatralpita Niyamita Smarnena Kala, Etadrashi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdavam Idrisham Ihajani Nanuraga. So it's so unfortunate, O Lord, that I have not developed attachment for your names. You have so many unlimited names. Bahuda, Nija Sarva Shakti, and each and every name has got total potency in it, pure spiritual potency in it. Nija Sarva Shakti, Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. And also, there is no hard and fast rules that when one can chant the holy names of the Lord. One can chant in any situation, in any place. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taking that in the role of a conditioned living entity and saying that Etadrashi Tava Kripa Bhagavan, O Lord, you have given such unlimited mercy. Mama pe durdavam idrisham ihajani nanuraga. But I am so unfortunate that I have not developed the attachment towards your holy names. So this is the position of the pure devotees of the Lord, the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. And therefore, they are not attached to the Virata Rupa, as it is mentioned here in this verse. This verse is mentioning about the Virata Rupa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Viśeṣas tasya deho sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ bhūtaṁ bhavyam bhavac. So this verse is saying that the gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the absolute truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. So this gigantic, the people who are attached to this gigantic manifestation are the people who are attached to the impersonal philosophy of the Lord. But the people who are attached to the this wonderful form of the Lord, Venum Kwanantam Maravinda Dalayaksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundaranga Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govinda Madipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the pure devotees of the Lord who are attached to the personal form of the Lord, who is bearing that flute, Venum Kwanantam, and then who has got his eyes are the lotus petaled eyes. Arvinda Dalayaksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam. He is wearing the peacock feather on his head, and his complexion is that of the newly formed cloud. Asitam Buddha Sundarangam, and Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha. His beauty is that of millions of cupids. millions of cupids together, coming together, that also does not suffice in terms of the beauty of the Supreme Lord. So this is the transcendental situation. And it is a naturally attractive. One automatically, just like a magnet gets attracted to an iron, there is a natural attraction that all the living entities have for Krishna. But somehow or other, because there is layers of covering, that attraction is not working. So if the magnet has got some things covering it, the magnet will not go and get attracted to the iron. But when we remove those covering of the magnet, automatically the magnet gets attracted to the iron. This is the same thing. So this is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So when one is engaging in the Harinam Sankirtan and the chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When one is chanting this transcendental Mahamantra, all these impurities are getting cleansed. And when the impurities gets cleansed, the natural attraction for Krishna is so Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabonoi Shravana Adi Shuddha Chitte Koroy Udai. As it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that this love for Krishna is eternally established in every living entity. It's not something that one is going out and trying to get it. It's there already. Yeah. But how does one get it? How does one understand and become established in that pure love? When there is Shravana Adi Shuddha Chitta, one is hearing about the Lord, it's Shuddha Chitta. That is very important. And how does Chitta get Shuddha? How does the subtle body gets pure? By hearing. So it's both purifying. So this is about the Shraddha, the faith for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is Uttama, Madhyama, Kanishta, Uttama, Madhyama, Uttama, Shraddha Anusari. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that it is everything is faith. There is in the beginning there is faith, and in the end also there is faith. The difference between the Kanishta Adhikari, or the person who is neophyte, the Madhyama Adhikari, the person who has progressed and is in the middle, somewhere in the middle, and the Uttama Adhikari, the topmost person in engaging in devotional service, is based on the faith. So a person on the topmost has got so much faith that he says that Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krit hai. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Karile Sudhrada Nishchay Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krit hai. It means it says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Uttamadhikari has so much faith that he knows that when I am doing Krishna Bhakti, all the other works has already been performed. He's got no doubt about that. And that is a transcendental position. But then in the beginning, there might be some living entities who are attracted to the Virata Rupa of the Lord. And that is fine. As Srila Prabhupada mentions here, the Virata Rupa manifestation of the Lord is simultaneously a challenge to the atheist and a favor for the asuras who can think of the Lord as Virata and thus gradually cleanse the dirty things from their hearts in order to become qualified to actually see the transcendental form of the Lord in the near future. So it's really a wonderful statement from Srila Prabhupada. Just the penultimate statement. And this is a favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheists and the gross materialists. So the verse is, viśeṣas tasya deho sthaviṣṭhaś sthavīyasām yatredaṁ vyajyate viśvaṁ bhūtaṁ bhavyam bhavac. This gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the Absolute Truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. So there is this experience of past, present, and future of the material time is because of the gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as as the personal body of the Lord. So this is that is why this experience is there. In the spiritual world, there is this nimeshe ardhakyo yatra vrajati nahi yatrapi samaya. So it is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita. It is mentioned that that the time is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. So the past, present, and future is there because we are in this material world, because we have taken a birth, and then the time is passing according to the birth. So this is happening because it is in the material world. But in the spiritual world, nahi yatrapi samaya. So there is no time in the spiritual world. So it is an eternal now in the spiritual world, and that eternal now is purely based on total attraction towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just total relishment of service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is a pure eternal now in the spiritual world. With that, I would like to thank you all very much for being part of this discussion. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 24. Just seeing the comment, Manik Roy, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Jayadev Prabhu, all glories to you, Prabhu, for your wonderful service. Thank you so much for your comment. I'm really, my millions and unlimited pranams at your lotus feet for all the wonderful service that you are rendering to the Vaishnavas. If I could render even an iota of that, I would really consider myself very fortunate. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Govinda. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpadastu Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you.